record on YouTube. You can also find it on YouTube and learn more. So let's talk about the Tax Procedures Act. And this is the TPA it was enacted in 2015, and it serves as a comprehensive framework for administration of tax laws in Kenya. So this shows how do we administer, for instance, when we talk about VAT, when is it supposed to be paid, what are the penalties, the regulations, the interest. So talks about the administration. When we talk about the various act, income tax, states so many things, and VAT, but TPA shows the administration of that tax laws in Kenya. So that is how the TPA is supposed to handle. The primary objectives include uniform procedures, so we can have a uniform way of administration of tax, facilitation for compliance. So this is the one that shows the compliance levels, penalties, interest, the dates that you're supposed to be doing that tax. So it states everything. Effective tax collection. So it seeks to ensure effective and efficient collection of taxes, thereby supporting the government revenue generation efforts. So that is what the TPA holds. And we felt when we do the explanation, you'll be able to see now the changes. So how do we change the TPA Act? It is changed through the following. The Tax Procedures Amendment Bill 2024 has a significant progress since its introduction. So what is the progress of the Tax Procedures Act? So for us to have changes in the TPA Act, this is the way it is supposed to be. This is the formula. This is what happens. So just like the Finance Bill 2024, the procedures followed are almost similar to the amendment when the amendment is happening for the TPA Act. So there is a bill that is brought to the table, there is a regulation. So the publication and introduction. So the particular bill that you're talking about today was published and gazetted on August 20th, and making it formal introduction to the National Assembly. So the moment we are doing these changes, these amendments in the TPA Act, they have to go to the Parliament as a bill and be debated the same way we debate the Finance Act and the Finance Bill. So it was tabled on August 20th, legislative process. So the bill is supposed to go to the committee stage where it is debated and it is analyzed, and the reasons for changes, of course, has to be stated. Then it goes through a second reading, committee stage, third reading, and then presidential assent. So it is similar to what happens when we are doing the Finance Act changes. So what are the amendments that are ongoing, that are being debated? So these are some of the amendments, and that's what I wanted us now to look. So before I introduce the amendments that are there, I wanted to take you through the process. What is it? What does it include? What are the processes? Then I describe the amendments. So it has several amendments. One of it wants to reinstate the tax amnesty. I know some of you have been calling to ask. Remember, the Finance Bill 2024 was supposed to reinstate the tax amnesty, but we said Agukanayo. So at the moment, the Finance Act 2024 was not enacted. So they want to introduce some of the key items that were there that was beneficial to the public in the TPA Act. So they want to reinstate the tax amnesty to June 30th, 2025. So for the person that were not able to take advantage of the tax amnesty when the closure happened 30th June 2024, and then it will be reopened and you can enjoy the amnesty until 30th June June 30th, 2025. So for me, this is a welcome move, and I hope it goes through so that some of our clients that got difficulty in enjoying the amnesty, they can still enjoy. Remember, the amnesty was liabilities that were incurred up to December 30th, 2022. So we have 2023. So any amnesty that any liability that you're going to file for year 2023, it is not going to enjoy amnesty. So 2023, 2024, there will be no amnesty of penalties and interest. So whatever people are not able to enjoy for that until 31st, 2022, then the amnesty will be opened for that period. So when it comes to 2023, this is also something that I want to mention. Some of you, because of the hard economic times, we do filing. Like you find a company is doing pay filing, VAT, and you're not paying the money because you're having cash flow issues. Remember, when you continue piling those penalties and interest, the amnesty doesn't cover for that period. So I would urge, when you come to filing your return, make sure that you have the cash flow so that you don't incur those penalties over time just because of lack of the cash flows. Computation of time regarding lodging of objections. So this also was an appeal. Especially remember, when we are doing objection, the objection is supposed to be done within 30 days. The appeals also, they have, you also, if you're also doing the appeal, you have to appeal from the TAT. You're supposed to, if you're taking your case for appeal in the High Court and the courts, you're supposed to do it within 14 days. So they want to accommodate this, the Saturday, the Sundays, the public holiday, so that the client can be able to, or when you're lodging your tax case, you can be able to do it within the time. So you're doing objection, you're also doing application to the TAT, sometimes we do to the ADR. All of them, they have different timelines. So they want to accommodate the Saturdays, the Sundays, and the public holiday. My advice to you, so when you're doing something like an objection, it's supposed to be objected within 30 days. For me, I feel 30 days is still enough because you have the reasons already. You still have the reason why you are appealing this case. So this is a case that you've been doing. It has gone through the entire audit process. So, so now when you object, you know the specific areas that you want to object. And this is, of course, the areas where I tell a client, or I advise here, that you should be able to talk to a tax consultant to help you through the process. When it comes to tax cases, going to the objection to the tribunal, to the ADR, they are very complex. So you can talk to us and we can help you through the entire process. So introduction also for of section 37F. So what does it state? It states the abandonment of tax recovery. So at what time that KRA determine that they are unable to recover taxes? So that is some new changes that they want to input there. That now the taxpayer has tax obligations and tax liabilities, but at what time do they abandon from asking for these taxes? So what happens right now when you have tax liabilities in your system? You're given, of course, possibly you've gone through a tax audit, and an assessment has been done on your iTax portal. You've been given timelines to do objection. You've done objection. Some of you have not done objection, but the system has those amounts. So you're sent a demand notice to pay, and sometimes you're given 7 days, 14 days to make payments. If you don't make payments, most of the time KRA will give you extra 30 days before they do closure of the banks. So they issue an agency notice and they close the banks. At the moment, KRA is able to go as far as that. But previously, we used to see that after that they will tag the director with the loan. Sometimes they will start doing some enforcement measures. They want to recover through assets. So at the moment that recovery through asset, through directors, at the moment the court were able to shield that portion. So at now, when you have tax liabilities on your portal, KRA will send you a demand. They will give you timelines. So when they send the demand, you can go back to them and do a payment plan. And they can agree upon the payment plan. Remember, when you're being sent a demand notice, you're already having cash flow issues. You're not able to pay your taxes on time. So they are looking at a position where you can have an agreement. So I always tell a client at that particular time, you can even, the tax law accepts 6 months installments. So 6 months installment is 6 months. But you can push it because you don't have money. So you're negotiating. I want to pay, and they want money. So they cannot push you beyond the level that you cannot be able to pay. So you can negotiate for 12 months. There are some organizations that are able to even negotiate beyond that point. So also, if you're having a problem on your taxes at this particular point, if you're having a tax demand, you can also talk to us and we can help you through the process to help you get a demand, a payable tax planning, that is, a payment plan that is workable for you, and you can be able to pay your taxes on time. So also this period, if you're having your liability, the penalties and interest, you can also be able to ask for an amnesty, and then be able to pay for the principal amount. So it's an agreement that also when the tax consultant is the middle of it, sometimes you get a better chance to solve that issue. Remember, you also want to continue with the business. You don't want to close. You don't want to liquid, you don't want bankruptcy, you still want to continue the business, yet the business has tax arrears. So this is a journey also that we can help you solve as a company. So you can also talk to us on that. So those are some of the changes that are happening in the TPA Act. So it is already going through the stages, and we are going, when it goes through the stages, we are going to see a circular. KRA is going to release a circular with this information so that we can start using them. So what is the next point was the Reinstatement of Finance Act 2023 updates. So remember, this year we have had so many things that are happening when it comes to finance bill, that finance bill 2024 that was going through the spaces for it to be enacted as Finance Act 2024. So we didn't get to that point, and it was nullified, and so many changes that were happening there, they were nullified. So the people that also, when I was looking at the Finance Act 2023 being taken to court, there were more than 55 interested parties that had taken it to court. Remember, when we talk about Finance Act 2023, they had major changes. Some of the major changes was the 16% of fuel, the housing levy, the graduated scale for individual pay as you earn, which was graduated to 32.5% and 35%. And also there were so many other advantages. It had the amnesty. There were so many advantages, especially when it comes to imports and export, especially for climate. I used to see what was this? The cars, the electrical cars, there was still some tax exemptions when it came to that fund. So when the Finance Act is able to go down, it goes down with the whole entire, the positive and the negative, of course. So what is the process? Where are we now? So it was enacted in June 2023. It was challenged because of public participation. And remember, when we talk about public participation, before it goes to the courts, after first reading, there's a public, when it is placed in the parliament, there is a section where it should go through public participation and a hearing, so that every public interested parties can be able to give their views. So the court ruled that it was unconstitutional. This was July 31st, 2024. The Supreme Court intervention that happened August 20th, so it was last month, reinstated the Finance Act, keeping all tax measures. The Supreme Court hearing, which is happening right now, so the Supreme Court gave a stay on court appeal decision. So they said it should proceed until they are able to look at it properly and be able to give a view. So this happened, I guess it was yesterday or the other day. Yes, Wednesday, 11th September. They concluded the 2 days hearing session and consolidated appeal. So the 7-judge bench announced that it will deliver their judgment on notice soon. So we are right there where we are waiting for them to make that judgment. So what were some of the main arguments used by Kenyan government to support the reinstatement of Finance Act? Of course, the biggest was that there will be a shortfall of collection. And actually, the shortfall will be 240 billion, especially on fuel, on the housing levy, on the affordable housing levy. So many. So if that goes, even the ETIMS, functionalities were enacted in the Finance Act 2023. So the nullification is going to really affect the government on the collection and some of these taxes. Also remember, when we also talk about the nullification of Finance Act, when an act is being done, if it is affordable housing levy, there's the act on the Housing Act. So when we also nullify it here, because it is also enacted on this different, when it is affordable housing levy, there is a Housing Act. When it comes to VAT, when we talk about fuel 16%, it is also on the VAT Act. So it also goes back to these different sections to also do changes on them. So there's also a lot of process that is to happen if all of this has to be termed unconstitutional. So I guess that is what we are happening. So I will keep tabs. So I'm very sure by the time we do the next tax friends the next month, we'll be having a view, and we'll also be having the reasons whether they term it unconstitutional or reinstate it. We're going to see the different views and their argument. Of course, they have to come with the conclusion, why they concluded to their part. So with that, you can also continue asking me a question on the chat. I'll get time to give you to answer them. And also I have a co-host who is answering some of your questions. So continue answering the questions. I want to talk about migration of legacy debt on iTax. And I don't know how many of you have checked your iTax portal. And I'm going to show you how you're going to check your iTax portal, because sometimes when we talk about these things and you say, I didn't find an email, and some of you don't check your emails. And one time you just find KRA is asking a demand, and they told you they migrated this data 3 or 6 months ago, and you cannot tell. So I'm going to show you how to check the migration of legacy debt. So legacy means what? Before 2014, when iTax was incorporated, we started using iTax. There was a system that was legacy that was being used prior period. And before legacy came, there was a manual documentation. I believe legacy was used for some few years, and then iTax was incorporated. So that time, the data that was in the older system was not incorporated in the iTax. So there were so many people that had arrears in the legacy data that was not paid. And this is the time they want the payment of those arrears. So for me, I think this is a big one. So for all the tax activists, I'm not an activist. So for all the activists out there who have the vocals, this is something that we should go to the courts, because how do you come and tell me to pay taxes? And from 2014 to 2024, those are 10 years. So you're coming to give me information of 10 years that I did not pay my taxes and I don't have documentation. So I would see, you can give me your view on the chat. I will read about it. I will read it. I would want to hear your view on the migration. So they migrated this data June 2024. And the migration, they want you to pay for these taxes. However, this is a process. So after transferring of these tax debt balances, the validation of credit balance qualifying, migration, so it's not a new assessment. When you check, it's not a new assessment. So you're not subjected to an objection. So you cannot object to this assessment. And you can also not appeal. So what do you do? So when you find the legacy amount on your iTax portal, you cannot object and you cannot go for appeal. What do? You solve it. So you're going to solve the balances with KRA. So you're going to go to your tax manager and with your documentation, and you're going to write letters saying, I don't know about this debt, or I know these are the documentation. And you're going to raise any concerns about the migration and solve those issues. So what happens? So KRA has given us time to solve the issues until 31st December 2024. And this is what I would want you to note. Until December 2024 to raise any concern about the migration of that data. So you have this period. I guess we are now 4 months. Take your documents, go through the issues, your bank statements. Some of you have bank statements where you can show how you made the payments. After that, so 2025, KRA is going to send demand notices demanding that money. And at that particular point, you cannot say, I did not know, because they have given us whole 6 months to look for that. Meanwhile, KRA will not deny you a tax compliance or any other services because you have the debts on the iTax. I hope it's clear. You can ask me questions. So what are your obligations on the legacy debt following the migration to iTax? So validation of migrated balances. So you're supposed to go to your station with supporting documents, address outstanding debts, address them, validate VAT credits. If you have a credit, by the way, if you also had a credit, also KRA is asking about that credit. Sometimes you may find you had a credit of 3 million. Now they want you to pay that VAT credit. So you have to show why you are having that credit, providing documentation for adjustments. So some of the clients that have come to us, they have those documents. And actually, I say congratulations for the people that have this documentation. This is document that are 10 years. Remember, when KRA is supposed to look at your documents, it should be 5 years old, not 10 years or 15 years. And some of this data is from as far as 2010. And 2009. So it's quite old data. So for all the activists here, you can do activism on that. So for me, when you come to me with this issue, the first thing I have to cite that this information you're asking is more than 5 years old. But when the client has the documentation, it becomes a bit easier to be able to solve the issue. So how do you know if you have this legacy debt in your iTax? Some of you are just opening iTax and you can't see it. And you didn't get an email because you don't check your email. Some of you don't check your emails. So you didn't, or KRA did not send you an email. Those emails were system generated, by the way. That showed that you had a legacy debt. So this is the formula you're going to use to see if you have this debt. And if you have it, the formula to solve I've given. So solve it until 31st December 2024. Next year, they issue demands on this amount. So you log in. After you log in, you go to General Ledgers. I'm going to share the notes with you. So if I'm fast, I'm share the notes with you. And my co-host, I hope you've given the registration link. Share the registration link there, my co-host. Kindly share the registration link so that when you register on the link, we are going to share the notes with you. So if you don't register on the registration link, I'm not going to share the notes with you. So kindly, my co-host, share the link there. And continue asking the questions. So you go to General Ledgers. After you go to General Ledgers, you would say Show Ledger. So you can see my pointer there, Show Ledger. And then you're going to see them. Taxpayers General Ledger. There you can see legacy balance in migration account. So legacy balance in this case was 20,000. Yes. And some of you, okay, and there are pages here. You can see 1 to 15 and then to 181 record. Just go searching everything. Will just display there. There are others that are getting the money in the payment registration. So when you go to payment, I guess I didn't put that one. When you go to the payment registration, there's a legacy balance. You can also find it there. So check. If you're just doing your normal work with the iTax, you might miss it out. So you might miss it out. So check on your payment registration. You're going to see legacy debt. Check. Go to also General Ledgers and check and solve the issue. If you're also not in a position to be able to handle the issue, you can also talk to us and we can help you solve that issue. So you can also give me your views on it. Let me continue to the taxation on packaging for bottled water and soft drinks. So this was a concern and the decision. So the Kenya Authority has been blocked from imposing tax on plastic packaging for bottled water and soft drinks following the ruling. So the tax case was on the bottled, not the water, not the liquid, the water or the juice or the soft drink. The issue was on the bottled, the bottle, yes. So it is the excise on that bottle. So the decision arose from a dispute from Kenafric Industries. Remember, when I talk about the TAT and the ADR, at that level, when a tax case is determined at that particular level, the tax appeal tribunal, it acts as law. So for us who will take client cases to the ADR, to the tribunal, and that case is beyond the tax act, the VAT or income tax, we able to look at the TAT cases and be able to back up our cases. So when you come to me and you're having a tax case, and most of you have reasons why the taxes were not paid and so many things. If we cannot be able to find an answer on the acts, we can be able to look at the cases determined and the TAT and the ADR at the courts because they form precedents on our argument for the case. So, so also KRA is able to be careful on determining of these cases because they always have a ripple effect on other cases that will be determined. So the argument, they argued that the excise duty paid on imported preformers used to manufacture plastic bottle should be refunded. So for this person who is doing the plastic bottle manufacture, when they manufacture, this is the excise duty. When they manufacture the excise that was paid on the raw material can be subtracted from the excise on the bottle. So excise here is happening the same way we do VAT, input, output, raw material, and then on sales, you do the subtraction. That is when the refund is coming from. So the tribunal ruled that these preformers are considered raw material and should qualify for tax offset against the total tax payable on the final product. So that is it. I hope. So when we are doing bottled water, remember bottled water has excise duty, and this bottle that you bought also has excise duty. So the argument is, do we subtract this excise duty of the bottle? Yes. So there's also eatings. There are some changes on the eatings portal. Also, something that I would want you to note. So there's a newer version of eatings client. Remember, eatings client is the eatings that you downloaded on your laptop or on the machine. On the machine that you buy, the eatings machine that you buy is eatings client, and the one that you downloaded for everybody that is using those eatings client. And there's a newer version. Of course, I was asking the team, what are the changes? They say they can't find the changes. Possibly their changes are inside there. So you have to update. You have to update the installation. So the way you see the phone has some updates. I guess that will be what will be happening with these versions. So how do you do the updates? Ensure the previous. So this is, so you're supposed to do the update on the eTIMS. So the taxpayer are required to update the version of eTIMS client they had installed on the Windows. So ensure the previous version eTIMS client software is completely closed. And also, if you cannot hack this process, we can hack the process for you at a small fee, very small actually. Ensure the machine meets the minimum specification. Delete any shortcuts of eTIMS client software application as start the menu. Let me show you the process. So this is access the KRA website. And then you see install eTIMS right there. And then eTIMS PayPoint Windows Toolkit, tool tip, you can see it right there. And then there's the installation is a process. So I've gone so fast so that you don't understand. I'll share the notes with you. So I'll also share the notes. There's a whole process. Application should be given, begin download, access the download, Windows protects your PC, run anyway. Oh my goodness. Then you find it on your local disk. Then you put your PIN, confirm. Then you find it. Then, okay, too long. So I'll share the notes with you. You can follow through. If you're not able to follow through, you can get our contacts. My co-host, you can share our phone number and our calendar booking. Do a calendar booking, or you can pick up our number. We're going to take you through the process or help to install for you, to do the installation, of course, at a small fee. So what are some of other new levies? There are some new levies on cereal imports and exports. Remember, when we talk about taxes, there are so many other bodies that are involved, and I mentioned, like now here, the Kenya government, through the Agriculture and Food Authority, AFA, has imposed new levies on importation and exportation of cereals and other food crops. So sometimes you don't know what defines how do they come to this conclusion, and what is the levies going to be used for. But for me now is to tell you, so that when you're doing this importation, you know what is expected of you. So cereal importation will be subjected to a 2% levy on custom value. Cereal export will be charged 0.3% levy custom value. Legumes, so you can also see roots and tubers. The levies were supposed to take effects on July 1st. I'm thinking some of these were supposed to be on the finance bill, but they were delayed to August 12, 2024. So August, these levies are already in process. So if you're doing any import or export of cereals, you have to take charge of this. And if you fail to do that, 25% interest on the outstanding amount for the first month of default. The new levies on cereal imports and will be paid directly to the authorities' agents at the point of entry or exit of the country. So I'm believing this will be done at the ports or at the border. So just be aware of it so that you're not caught somewhere. So what are some of the new levies, also new levies imposed on government contractors and suppliers? A few also. And this has been done through the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, PPRA. Yeah. So the government has introduced new levies on contractor and supplier. So if you're supplying the government, you're supposed to do the following. Effect September 1st, 2024. So it's about few days. The levy applies to procurement contractor assigned between supplier and procuring entities. Supplier must pay 0.03% on contract value, excluding taxes on all agreements with procuring entities. For example, if you are a contractor, you've been given 1 billion project, will be levied 300,000. So, the levy covers contract part paid, installed, milestone, as well as LPO, LSO. So the milestone at every point, you're supposed to do that 0.03%. So they're going to deduct. So when the government, this is, I believe, parastatals, the government, county government, the government, that's it. So they are going to withhold this and they pay. So when they withhold, don't ask, what are you withholding? So the procure entities must deduct the levy and remit the refunds to Public Procurement Regulatory Authority through e-citizen platform by 20th of the following month. And of course, there is an attraction of a penalty if you don't do that. So before I go to the case, let me see if you have questions. Let me see. Let me see if you have questions. Okay. First, as kindly advised on supplier who has been withheld 2% VAT by county government, yet the supplier not registered for VAT has not attained the VAT threshold. First, as there is no problem. If you're not on the threshold, don't have a problem. But that acts as a trigger. So it acts as a trigger. So one of these fine days, KRA is going to pick IFMIS data, and they are going, of course, they're also going to see that 2%, and they are going to come to you. So it's going to act as a trigger. When they act as a trigger, you have to show your bank statement that you're not on the threshold. So as long as you can justify that you're not on the threshold, then there is no, okay. But if your bank statement has even amounts beyond the 5 million, then you'll be required to pay VAT. So it doesn't have a problem, but it's a trigger. Okay. So you can ask questions. On the serial, what is the custom value? Is it the total value of the goods? I believe so. I believe so. My co-host, you can tell us what is the custom value. Yes, I'm going to share the notes. If you register on the link, my co-host, you can tell me if you shared the link. So you can ask me a question. So yes, the update is only for eating client. Remember, I mentioned here the different types of eTIMs. I've shared the different types of eTIMs. There's USSD code, there is a portal, there's the one you go for using eCitizen. There's the one we do migration, we do, what do we say? If you're having an ERP, it's connected to your ERP. So there are different versions. So the version, the updates is on the eTIMS client. What should I do if county government withheld VAT and I'm not VAT registered? Against, can KRA move that to be utilized against income tax? Of course. So when the government, if you trade with the government, that's a trigger. Right now, actually, I've started seeing KRA sending IFMIS data, requesting clients to verify if they did the business with the government and what were the taxes paid. So that acts as a trigger. So if you're not registered for VAT, are you on the threshold? If you're not on the threshold, verify that. But of course, that also income tax, you also have to do the calculation for income tax. Has the link been shared? Yes, it is shared up there. Okay. Okay, Sawa. So continue asking question as I continue. Let me continue. Let me continue with the notes. So as I mentioned, when the taxes are very dynamic. There are so many changes that happens within a month, especially since this year. So even next month, I'll still have something new to tell you because there are so many changes that are happening. So let's talk about the tax case. When we were discussing this as a team, I felt it was not a very good choice of a case, but I'm just going to mention it and you can read more about it. So this particular client, taxpayer, had a problem. they were issued assessment, and was quite a lot of money, 190 million. And they objected because they cited they did not have documentation. And they cited the documentation were destroyed by an employee from in the fraudulent employee. So out of it, they stated that the commission had accepted this explanation earlier, implied they could not later demand compliance with the 5-year record keeping rule, but later they agreed, then later they disagreed. So this client went all the way to the High Court and he won. So when it comes to tax cases, this will cost a lot of money. So when it comes to cases, it's how you are able to argue your case very well. So I am not trying to put that you win on such an issue that the document were destroyed and that. But when you come to us, we're able to figure out how do we win a case. And for me, this one was, okay, the High Court ruled that while the taxpayer must keep records for 5 years, the commission accepted an explanation for missing record before the period expired. They cannot later invoke the record keeping rule as a defense. Okay. So just to mention, the reason why when we are, for instance, if I come to your organization, especially for big amounts, you've been charged 100 million, and so on. Of course, big amounts are amounts for, there are companies that a demand for 1 million is big amount. So at your level, at every level, I can be able to tell you that if we push this case to the tribunal, this is the argument that you're going to raise, and then this one, and then that is how you see cases going as far as to the High Courts. So the importance of studying this case is to see the legal obligation, burden of proof, reasonable explanation, and most of the time we do a lot of cases analysis to be able to these cases act as precedents for us to be able to argue your tax case. Of course, what we are looking for is to be able to win so that you don't pay any taxes. But I also would prefer if you're able to understand your tax obligations and you're able to mitigate some of these issues early. Some of these cases, before you go to the High Court, that is a case that will even take you 5 years and a lot of costs. So, and a lot of pressure and stress. So if you're able to understand taxes and you're able to do tax planning, tax health checks, and organize your business very well, understand tax saving strategies, organize yourself very well, you mitigate some of these issues. Because of course, if you're having a demand of 200 million, you're always thinking, what if we lose? Because a case you either win or lose. So what if you lose? So if you lose, you're going to close that. Some of these cases, you close even your business out of them. So I would advise, why don't we handle issues early? If you also have a tax case, because something happened in the past, we can also help you. So we do tax health checks, we do tax planning, we handle your tax cases, and you can call us and you can even request to talk directly to me, and you're going to get me. So that is the tax trends that we had. The next 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about us. So we have an audit masterclass. We have a bookkeeping masterclass right now that is ongoing. Today is day 5. Actually, today is a closure. We were having bookkeeping. So the reason why we are doing bookkeeping and audit, we've been doing taxation masterclass, but we felt that bookkeeping and audit is the foundation of tax issues. So until you're able to understand your bookkeeping, your record keeping, remember I've said here before that for us to win a case, you must have documentation. So if you don't keep your document very well, you put it us at a position where we don't know how to win a case. So of course, sometimes I will come and advise you how to put your books together. But when you understand and do it on a daily basis, you're able to do it very well. So we have an audit masterclass that is coming next week, starting Monday. You can register, you can call us, and you can register. It's only 10,000, and the certificate you can also earn CPD point with it. So on Wednesday next week, we're going to have taxation of SACCOs and microfinance industry. So if you're in that industry, it's going to be free of charge. You can come. You can come and learn, and you're going to get insights, a lot of insights on that. So you're going to register. Of course, there's some questionnaire you're going to be asked, and then you register, and then you learn. Then on Thursday next week, we are having a CEO breakfast. I'm thinking this is almost already full. We were supposed to have 150 people. We have oversubscription, but if you still want to come, you can talk to us. I guess there was, I'm going to give you the number. There was they will send you something that you're going to fill in. There's a criteria for you to be able to join the breakfast meeting. It is physical, the physical training in conjunction with DTBX and Infinity Pay. So on Friday, I'm going to talk about enhancing internal control to save on tax. Of course, this will be in conjunction with audit masterclass. So I believe when we handle internal controls, those are some of the places where you lose on taxation because you're not able to do your internal control very well. And I'm really going to talk about it. I'll talk about system audit system, your accounting system, internal audits, internal control, bookkeeping, how to make your processes have internal controls. And it is very, so if you're having especially a headache on how to run the organization, how do businesses that do billions of money and different branches, how do they operate? They operate on systems and internal controls. So I'm going to talk about that, and it is going to be very beneficial for you. So you're going to also register and join. So we have a CSR. This is a CSR. We've been running it for 3 years. It's called Skill Up Mentorship Program. When I share this, you can also join us on the other week on Saturday. There are trainers that are doing this. So for us, we help people just learn a skill and start a business. So we're just helping starters be able to do different business, especially in the manufacturing sector. So for us, we conduct it as our CSR. So with that, we have a taxation masterclass. I didn't put it here. A taxation masterclass, the final one for this year, it will be in October. October, you can talk to us. October, I guess, mid-October. So talk to us. It will be the final one for this year, and then we proceed. We're going to offer a calendar for year 2025 for the other master classes. So the final one is audit masterclass next week, and then the taxation masterclass is in October. So we have our services, audit services, taxation services, bookkeeping. If you want to enhance your bookkeeping, you can outsource our services. And the another one that I really love, internal audit. So you can give us a contract, 3 months, 4 months, we do a tax health check, we look at your books, we do reconciliations, review of your books, and we just give you a comprehensive report on how your business is operating. Some of you have difficulties in cash flow, you have difficulties in scaling the business. You know that this business is scalable, but you don't know how. So we do those internal control for you. I'll guide you on how to put strategies for growth, and you can come in. And we can just give that extra eye on your business to just make sure that everything is running So internal controls, and we have the taxation I have mentioned. If you have a tax case, a tax health check, we had an offer for tax health check. Naona kama haijawekwa hapa. We have an offer for tax health check for 10,000, just coming for a day to check your previous 2 years tax, how you paid your taxes, and your tax obligations, and your tax obligations. And if you have a tax case, we advise on it just a day. And we give you a very comprehensive report that will guide you, even tax planning that is going to guide you. If you need it, you can also talk to us. So we are RWK and Associates. We have a Thika office, a Nairobi office. And I'm so glad that you have made time to come. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Regina Kengori CPA-K, and also on Facebook. You can have our numbers and our email address right there if you need to write something, and you can call and request talk to me. So I'm going to do a final check on your so someone is asking, do you sell videos for masterclass, for example, if possible? Yes, we do. We are doing it at a lower rate. I guess my team said this, how much? Moffat, you can talk to us. They are available. We can give you, and you can learn at your specific, your timing. And of course, after you do them, you can ask us questions and we can be able to answer you. So the recording are available. And if you do, we had an offer for audit and okay. So I have a very good question here and I want to answer. What is the pre-tax advice you'd give youth who are out of university and looking into world of self-employment, owning side hustle? Very good question. Very good question. Very good question. And this question I answer everybody who want to start a business. Everybody who has a question. Who want to answer that question? So I can see Fiona. Oh, sorry. So thank you for that. So I ask everybody who want to start a business, a side hustle, and you're scared about taxes. Operating a business is not easy. It involves so many things. Remember, you're doing something that you're even trying is a hobby. It's something, sometimes you're just doing a business for survival. You need money. You don't know the future. This is my advice beyond tax agency, beyond tax compliance, just seeing entrepreneurs being able to do business. Concentrate on working on your business first. Concentrate on running your business, on making your business have a footing, on expanding your business. There will come a time that you can no longer operate until you're tax compliant. And what is this time? Especially when you start doing 5 million turnovers per month, per year, that is about 400,000 per month, then taxes is obvious. You have to consider now taxes. But if you're starting a business and you're selling 50,000 in a month, 100,000 in a month, for me, my advice, I know, and this is not KRA position, concentrate on running your business and growing your business, and just come here, learn about it at the back of your mind. When your business will start making money, you consider taxes. And what I would advise at that particular point is bookkeeping. Come and learn the bookkeeping you're supposed to be doing. Understand bookkeeping and start doing your recording properly, such that when your business starts making money, now you're doing 400,000 in a month, and you need now to be tax compliant, or you've gotten a deal. You know, sometimes you may go somewhere, someone tells you, supply us with something and give us items. Now you need to be on items. At that particular point, because that you start becoming visible to KRA, so they can come and ask questions. So if you have record keeping from the day you started, it is easier even for me to help you answer a question. Sometimes you find that most of our businesses don't make profits in the first year of inception. You don't even make profits, but you don't have records to show that. So do record keeping on when you're starting your business, and leave taxes to Regina. When you start now, your business start being out there, consider incorporating tax compliances. When your business is out here making 10 million, 5 million in a year, you can no longer stay behind. You have now to start paying taxes, because the moment now KRA will come to notice you, you'll be having so many challenges. So that is that is my advice to you, university, and even you who is doing a side hustle. Don't worry about taxes. Worry about running your business first until you're capable of doing of the rest. So also learn how business is operated. There are so many areas where you can learn about business, how to financial management, how to scale your business. Those be able to go out there and learn those things and apply them so that you can also grow business. I've also seen businesses that grow within a very short period of time. So what do they do that you can incorporate in that? So I've also seen young people who are billionaires, who are millionaires, who are turning a lot of money. So what are they doing that you can do? And what are the businesses that you can do that are scalable? I guess now I'll do a webinar on that. Okay. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. Have a lovely Friday. If you need to talk to us, you can talk to us. If you have tax case or if you need our services, you can talk to us. So God bless you. Have a lovely afternoon. When you come on Friday, I'm going to give you a chance to speak, and we're going to have an interactive session. So asanteni sana.